XRP, Bitcoin, and gold and real world assets would explode if this happens. There's rumors out there, not just rumors, but we're going to break it down today. And I'm super bullish on this. If Judy Shelton becomes the new Fed chair, this would be massive, massive for our ecosystems. Now, we're going to talk a little about who Judy Shelton is, how this would affect the economy. And I really believe she's starting to come around to Bitcoin. I don't think they have a choice at this point. They really don't have a choice. Bitcoin is the new store of value. Physical gold is alchemizing into digital gold. And the bloodline of the system is going to be technologies like XRP that are going to transfer money at the speed of light. And this is a time in human history where you shouldn't be too left, you shouldn't be too right, you should be taking the middle ground and know when they tell you to look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. So on this channel, we stay stoic, we stay calm, we focus on real world assets, we stay out of the get rich quick schemes, and we focus on building empires for our family. So I'm going to break down today what I believe would happen if Judy Shelton becomes the new Fed chair. We're going to talk about Coinbase. They're talking about June 12th. Something is coming. That's right around the corner. What's the date today? That is in 2 days. So let's dive in. And on the back end of every video, I share with you exactly what I'm doing. This channel is all about transparency. I'll never share with you anything I'm not doing myself or something I'm physically involved in. So Coinbase posted this yesterday. Let me just make sure my microphone is connected to the right place here. Test. There we go. So Coinbase posted this yesterday. Excuse me. If you want to build the future, it starts with money from the future. We got something with an S you're going to like. This Thursday, June 12th, save the date. You know what's so interesting? I just took a look. So I did my Coinbase, my Bitcoin loan to buy a cash generating firm, one of my companies. And I'll explain that on the back end, how I use leverage. But I noticed that Coinbase loans, but they are variable, which is super important. That could be the differentiator was in the single digits, 5%. I loaned at 14%. So if I borrow at 5% and Bitcoin goes up 50% on average since the historical patterns, that would be a 45% hurdle rate. I mean, and I'll break that down at the end. So these are things I'm going to repeat over and over again until you understand that. So we'll report on what they're talking about June 12th. Okay, so this is what I want to get into. So Judy Shelton, who is Judy Shelton? She is the former economic advisor for Trump. She is a bright lady, and she is against the central banks. Okay, we're breaking into the era of authenticity, the old decentralized system, breaking into decentralization of, and it's rumors, and it would be amazing. And I'm going to put my prayers and thoughts out that Judy Shelton is the new Fed chair. So Gold Telegraph posted, she's a big gold bug. Judy Shelton is the ideal Federal Reserve chair, brilliant, principled, and lifelong advocate of sound money. She is exactly who America needs to restore the integrity of the monetary system. And then she posted, she responded, Friday was my birthday. Guess I shouldn't read too much into this. And she said, President Trump said on Friday that a decision on the next federal chair will be coming out soon, adding that a good Fed chair would lower interest rates. Okay. Judy Shelton would be phenomenal for our system. I'm a big fan of Judy Shelton. Okay, so Judy Shelton posted this. Well, this was kind of nice to hear this morning on Squawk Box, and this was yesterday. So let's listen. So she was watching the news and she heard her name on the news. Okay, and I'm going to break down why I believe she'd be great for Bitcoin, XRP, and gold.
Not necessarily in practice when it comes to politics.
You know how I could make heads explode, Rick? I could say maybe Judy Shelton. And your head will explode.
Yeah, there you go. My head never explodes. I'm perfectly under control.
She'd take away the interest. How much do these big banks make from the Fed paying them all those nice things?
Ted Cruz wants to take that away.
I know.
That's his point the other day.
Wait, hold on. Before we go, we had a thing, Rick. It was called Paygo. Remember?
Even the news is like Judy Shelton, man. Take away the centralized parties and let's decentralize this. Okay, so now this was Judy Shelton. I showed you guys this interview. Natalie Brunell, she has a great channel. She is a big Bitcoin proponent as well. And so this was Judy Shelton interviewing on her channel. Now, this is the type of people we need. Now, Judy Shelton was an economic advisor for Trump. Now, remember, Trump was against cryptocurrency in his last presidency. He was dollar guy, right? But now he's seen the power. Now he wants to make us the Bitcoin capital of the world, the crypto capital of the world, which he will. And you're going to see the Genius Act pass. You're going to see tokenization of treasuries, okay, which is going to give the appearance of stable coin, stable market in America. America is going to dominate even more. Okay, they're going to tokenize all the debt. I believe, and she's going to say it right here, that they're going to revalue gold. And this young lady is starting to open up Judy Shelton's mind to Bitcoin and its power. And I believe they are going to revalue gold. They are going to take that revaluation and they are going to balance out the balance sheet and monetize the debt. Put Bitcoin on the balance sheet and then monetize the debt to pay down the balance sheet.
The arguments. And I met Senator Lummis from Wyoming, and
what she was, let me start that out because I don't mess up my video and start over, but she was talking about the arguments around Bitcoin.
I was so impressed because I think she's one of the few senators who really knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I applaud Wyoming and is it Caitlin Long? Mm-hmm. I'm an admirer of her vigor in making her points and making Wyoming really what Delaware was for corporate headquarters, making Wyoming a headquarters for alternative currencies. I'm even very interested in what French Hill is doing in House Financial Services in trying to have appropriate legislation for stable coins, but just in general, so people know the rules of the road. As far as Bitcoin being part of a strategic reserve asset, basically, I think that idea requires kind of piggybacking on the same notion of windfall profits from our gold holdings.
Boom. Windfall profits from our gold holdings. Remember I was talking about the revaluation of gold? Taking those windfall profits from the revaluation and putting it in Bitcoin, a deflationary asset that has a fixed supply that can't be printed. Boom.
And taking some of those to fund a government purchase of Bitcoin. If I'm explaining that, I will be grateful for you to correct it.
Man. Oh, life is just bullish, man. Bullish. This is just great. This is exciting. You guys are doing such a good job. I'm so proud of you for holding the line. This is the wild, wild west in 2020 when we got into this, guys. And look at us now. Look at us go, man. Stablecoin regulation coming. It's going to pass. Okay. His big bill is going to pass. His big, beautiful bill. They're going to monetize a ton of debt. And I'm proud of us, but we need to get this. I need you guys sharing these videos with your friends and family. Please, I do the best I can to break this down at a level that people can understand. Please share these videos with your family. Okay. Help them understand that the US dollar is inflationary. Help them understand that Bitcoin and XRP is deflationary. Help them understand how to use insurance to protect their wealth. Okay. The unsuspecting public is not going to win in this situation. They're going to feel wealthier, but the wealth that they're getting is someone else's debt. It is inflationary. They're going to get a bunch of money in their pocket, but it's going to be someone else's debt. We have to transmute this. That's why they're all getting into Bitcoin. That's why they're all getting into XRP. So news, NASDAQ files SEC Form AX confirming proposal to expand crypto benchmarks from 5 to 9 digital assets, adding XRP, Solana, ADA, and XLM. All of those are in my portfolio, allowing Hashdex NASDAQ Crypto Index US ETF to transact in the broader index. Man, Ripple is just crushing it, man. Ripple, a Web3 salon supported by Jetro, are launching a new partnership with Japan-based Web3 startups. Open to early stage teams building on the XRP ledger will focus on DeFi, tokenization, and payments. And I'll leave you guys with this right here. Okay, so this is Anthony Pompliano and what do I always forget his name? Oh my gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Well, I'll let you guys listen.
All right, so you go to the institutions, you go to the Middle East, you go to
Scaramucci, right?
Europe, you go to Asia, you go to all these different places. And when you go there, you talk to lots of institutional investors. You probably more so than many people really have a lot of trust. They tell you what they're thinking. They explain what their views are. What are they saying about Bitcoin right now? Are they all like buying it up and not announcing it yet, or what's going on?
Yeah, so I think they are. I think they are buying it. I think they're buying it on the margin. I don't think it's going to be a gigantic groundswell of buying. until we greenlight legislation in the United States. So if you tell me before the end of the congressional term, we've got a stablecoin regulation, we've got guidance for money center banks and how they can custody Bitcoin and other assets, and we have some discussion about the tokenization of stocks and bonds and other assets, then I will tell you that there'll be large blocks of buying, or there people.
And if you're in the academy, be on the Thursday call. I'm breaking that all down for you, those exact steps, remember? So first we have stablecoin regulation, okay? They get the rules of the road. Then we get adoption, right? How do we properly store this stuff? How do we stay within regulation? So then you're going to have, so first they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. Okay. Now we're in regulation. Then it'll be adoption. They'll custody it for you. You can buy and sell it, right? Then there'll be tokenization. And then there's going to be massive amounts of people coming into this. Okay. And so you're still very, very, very early. So let's repeat over and over again exactly what I'm doing. Okay. So I explained to you, not that you have to do this, but I explained to you exactly what I'm doing. I focus on 4 things. Cash flow. Cash is trash. Okay. It's someone else's debt. I'm not going to sit here and work my ass off and get paid in someone else's debt and store it and have it inflate and become less valuable. Since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, your dollars collapsed 99%. There's no value to it other than our belief in it. Okay. So I take cash and I create cash flow. I do that through dividend ETF strategies. I do that through my cash generating businesses. Okay. And if you think about dividend ETF strategies, getting things to like exposure to things like MicroStrategies, Coinbase, you can do Tesla, you can do NVIDIA. There's all kinds of different things you can do. That's just like getting into a company. I failed 5 times before I ever figured out my first company, 5 times before I ever got my first 7-figure company. Right. And the second one took a little bit shorter, and the third one took a little bit shorter. But when I get in these dividend ETF strategies, it's very risky, but so is small business. But I don't have to clean the toilets. I don't have to, manage employees. These are cash generating dividends. Okay. So I got businesses that are generating cash. You may have a job or something that pays you, right? That's cash flow. Okay. I have dividends paying me on top of that. That's cash flow. I transmute this cash, not into Lambos, not into watches. Okay. Into deflationary assets that appreciate. So then I move into deflationary assets that appreciate, that are deflationary, opposite of the US dollar. I focus on things like Bitcoin and XRP, my number 1 and number 2. I have real world assets like Solana, HBAR, ADA, VChain, XLM, right? I like to focus on real world assets. I stay out of the meme coin game. It's a casino. If you want to get rich quick, just go buy a lottery ticket. Okay. I'll continue to say that because wealth isn't built that way. It's just not how that's not how it's built. That's not how you retire. That's not how you build wealth. Okay. So I go from cash flow into deflationary assets. Then my third bucket is protection. I use cash value life insurance. There's a reason why I use deflationary assets like Bitcoin and XRP, and a reason why I use insurance, because the richest man in Babylon. Fourth is leverage. So now I have 2 leverage components. Okay. So Bitcoin, I'm never selling. That is a leverage component for me. I accumulate it every single day. I buy XRP and Bitcoin every single day. It's called dollar cost averaging. Okay. I don't care when the markets are up. I don't care if they're down. I just buy it every single day. Okay. It just comes out of my account automatically. Right. So that means my family is buying deflationary assets every single day. Our net worth is getting bigger. Okay. Then I have my insurance component where I put monthly payments into my premiums. And then when the markets go really bullish, I pull profits from all other coins besides Bitcoin, and I max fund my insurance policies. So now I have a family bank on this side that nobody can touch. The markets collapse, my money's insured. Nobody can touch it. Okay. So that's protected. Okay. Then I got my cryptocurrency over here. That's protected as well with hard wallets and cold wallets and all that stuff, and all that protection. But I have the Bitcoin bank over here now. Okay, so let's talk about leverage. So an example is I did my first leverage loan on Bitcoin to practice what I preach, and I did it at Salt. It's a company called Salt. Just no paid ad. I have no connection to them. I moved the amount of collateral I needed to buy my insurance firm. I borrowed 70% LTV. I bought it cash. I had the money 24 hours after 2 weeks of know your customer, right? So I had the money. No, I didn't have to submit LLC paperwork, none of that stuff. So I borrowed at 14. Bitcoin on average, if you look at historical patterns, it's gone up 50% every year. Okay. Now that'll change as the future goes along and, volatility gets sucked out of the markets. But for now, my hurdle rate is 14% So this is called hurdle rate. If you borrow at 14 and you're gaining 50% on the asset, that means I made 36% on my money. If I'm doing the math correctly, 36% of my money. So I made 36% on my loan as I bought a cash generating assets that's paying it off. So by the time it's paid off in the next 8 months, I'll be 100% LTV. I never sold an ounce of my Bitcoin. And then I can leverage again to buy cash generating business or cash generating dividends, and then I'll pay it off. So you see what I'm doing? I'm taking invested money that appreciates. I'm borrowing against the either the principal or the appreciation. You got to be careful with this because you got to make sure you don't get liquidated. I borrow to only buy cash generating assets. I can do it on the insurance side too. Insurance is even more powerful. You know, after about a year, once cash value, start to stuff the cash value or max fund your policies and you properly fund them. They need to be structured properly and you need to fund them properly. Once you start to get that energy going and you get that front end cash flow in there, about the second year, you're building up a bank, right? So now I have a bank. So if I can borrow 5% from the insurance company and keep my cash in my cash value life insurance policy and the market's gaining 10%, I'm netting 5% on the money that I borrowed, beating the hurdle rate. If I borrow at 5%, I'm making 5% on my cash value because I borrowed against the insurance company. I don't have to pay it off because if I always work to, but it comes off the death benefit. So now I have tax-free money to go buy what? Remember? Cash flow. And then we pay it off with the cash flow. Richest man in Babylon, richest man in Babylon. What we've been indoctrinated to do, that's what the wealthy are doing. What you've been indoctrinated to do is go to school, get a job, get a 401k. You've been taught to trade time for money. When you get paid money, you're paid in someone else's debt. You take that debt, you deposit into a bank. When you deposit into a bank, they take your money and they lend it to the next person walking in, doing exactly what I'm doing with the money. I just cut out the middleman. So banks make money in 3 ways: interest income, fee income, and capital markets income. So I created my own bank. I make money off interest income. I can lend my money out on a DeFi platform if I choose to. I can lend money to myself. Okay. And then I can make capital markets income and cash flow based on borrowing against my own assets. So we're just cutting out the middleman. That's why they hate Bitcoin. That's why the banks hate it until they can profit off it. And when they can profit off it, they're going to invite you into it. That's how the banks work. They're not a nonprofit organization. You just have to learn financial literacy. That's what we're here to do. So if you need support, in my YouTube channel here, I have a free section where you can, all these strategies I break down at a deep level. I also have a systematic process where I teach you all the force process. I literally teach you how to fish. Okay. I don't tell you where to put your fish. I'm like, here's what I do. Here's the systems. Here's the processes. Here's the things that I do. And you can go through a 4-week process with me and be part of our ecosystem of 11,400 people worldwide since 2020. That's down below. You can set up a free consultation with my team to find out all about that. Okay. Then I also own Freedom Insurance. It's my own agency. We broke off and built our own agency for multiple reasons. Number one is we wanted to make sure people were properly getting set up with cash value life insurance policies. We practice what we preach. We have the policies, we use them, we leverage them. And so I built an elite team of people who know how to structure these properly, who know how to be fully transparent with you on exactly what it looks like, what the fees are, and how these things work, and how most people are driving a Lamborghini with regular gas in it. Okay. If they're set up properly, like a Lamborghini. If they're set up improperly, it's like driving a Lamborghini with regular gas. You're going to need a lot of maintenance and it's not going to work out the way it should. So I built an elite team to make sure you understand cash value life insurance, how to fund them properly. Okay. How we structure them properly, right? How they work and how we use them to build wealth for our family and legacy. So down below, you can set up an absolutely free consultation. My agents do not get paid by the client. We get paid by the insurance companies. We are a broker. We help you get the best clients. We work with the only triple rated companies. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. That's the description of this video or in my social media platform. Click the link. And I love you guys. Warriors, rise, get your shit together.